This is Pro Series Off Topic.
Welcome back to the Pro Series Off Topic. This is episode 64, and we're going to talk a little bit about a milestone that I hit, and then also talk about this past week's Pro Series and next week's Pro Series, and then kind of get into country music. But let's first start about this week's Pro Series. If you missed it, episode 146 with Cam Schwartz. He is a confidence coach based out of Portland, Oregon. We shot a couple months back, or maybe last month. This point, it's all running together for me. But it was a great conversation. We both got great feedback from listeners and friends and family, and it was a great episode. We talked a lot about hate comments, dealing with social media and media in general, and some cool feedback that we had on that was the hate comments. I got a lot of people messaging about that, and it is a great way to think about it. And if you missed that, we kind of talk about how hate comments is a positive, and no matter what the way you look at it, it's a positive on your analytics, and that's kind of what we talked about, and he kind of gave his view on that. But go head over to wherever you listen to podcasts and listen or watch it. It's episode 146 called Building Unshakable Confidence with Cam Schwartz. You can listen to that on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, but it's also on video form on Spotify and YouTube, so go check that out. Hit the subscribe, like button, comment, all of that I really, really appreciate. Let's go into next week's Pro Series episode. It will be episode 147 with Amanda and Patrick Miller. They are the owners of Northern Woodworking, with also Patrick's brother. He wasn't on the podcast, but we kind of talked about the original, how this Northern Woodworking started. A lot of these guests that I have on Pro Series, I don't know them before I go into the call, but this one I've known for a couple years. They're here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They're a customer of mine, so I knew a lot of this story, but there's some little tiny parts of it that kind of were really cool and really cool nuggets. So if you're in the Pittsburgh area and you know them, you're probably going to learn some stuff from them. We learned all about outdoor living too. They do interior and exterior renovations, and we talk a lot about the outdoor living because that's become such a huge thing, and it's become more than that cookie cutter look. I think when you look back at outdoor kitchens so many years, it's all of those cement blocks with stainless steel inserts. They do these awesome outdoor cabinets that look like interior cabinets that are good for the exterior, and they stand the test of time, and they also are able to live in the weather that we have here in Pittsburgh. And we were actually supposed to shoot that episode outside in their kitchen and where their showroom is, and it was during that week where it was like unbearably hot. Like, it was like 90 some degrees, humidity was crazy, so we decided let's stay in the showroom and do it in there so we don't melt during this episode. But it's a great episode. Stay tuned. That will probably be out Wednesday or Thursday. Pro Series are always out midweek. Off Topics are always weekends. It always varies Wednesday to Thursday for Pro Series, and then Off Topic Saturday to Sunday, just depending on my work schedule. But next up, I don't usually look at my analytics. That's something I try a lot. The last probably year and a half, I really don't focus on that. I think the first so many years I was on social media, first so many years I was doing the podcast, I really lived on the analytics, and I looked at them literally once a day. And it really, followers go up, likes go up, engagement goes up, and then they go down. It's just a constant roller coaster, and it really does mess with your mental health, which is so stupid. It's just social media. It's just a podcast. It's like, why does it mess with you? But it does. So I tried not to look at the analytics at all, but I got an email this week from my host site from the podcast saying that I hit over 100,000 plays. It's incredible. I do this podcast mostly because I just love hearing these conversations or hearing these stories of professionals from all around the world. These guests are so successful in their niche and their business, and it's so cool to hear other people's stories. And I think that's what everybody wants to hear. They want to hear other relatable stories to maybe inspire them to take that leap of faith. And that's kind of that underlining message that Pro Series always has that I didn't set out to have in the Pro Series. It's just having a professional leap from one career to the other. A lot of these guests are on their second or third career, or they're hopping into something that they have always loved. It's their passion job, it's their passion project, and they're going full force. And that's a lot of what the Pro Series guests are. I don't mean it to be that way, but it just seems like every single guest has that in common. But it's so much fun learning about these guests and also networking with them. That's another big reason why I do this podcast. It's such an awesome networking tool that I've met so many people across the world, and for people to even listen to this is pretty awesome. So thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing, liking, reviewing, whatever you do for the podcast. It really does help the success of the podcast. I really do appreciate it, and it's really awesome that I hit the 100,000 download mark, and let's go for another 100,000. But let's get into Country Music Weekly. A lot of new music this week. I want to first go into it for the new album of the week is Great American Bar Scene by Zach Bryan. I was super, super excited about this. Zach Bryan is one of my favorite artists. He has done so well. He's been spitting out music like crazy too, which is, from a fan's perspective, that's awesome. I love that. But this album, I always listen to the album from start to finish. I don't shuffle it because I know a lot of artists put a lot of work into how they order the songs. But overall, it's 19 songs, and I'm not feeling it that much. His last album was just so good. His past two albums were just so good. It's just this one isn't living up. I feel like a lot of the songs are sounding similar in this album. I mean, the standouts to me will be his current single, Pink Skies. I think that is hands down the best song on that. So it was a great pick on the single to lead on this Great American Bar Scene. But I think following up, his song with John Mayer with Better Days is great. Sandpaper with Bruce Springsteen wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. Memphis, The Blues with John Moreland is a great song as well. But those are really it for me. I think I like the In Tower, the chorus that comes in. I think he said that he was basing this off another album, and inspirational album that he kind of inspired to go towards from another artist. I don't remember who the other artist was, but overall, it's a good album. It's just not what I wanted it to be. But I'm going to keep listening to it. He starts out the album on the number one track on Lucky Enough, which is a poem, which is very interesting. A lot of artists have done that, and they're only like 30-second songs, but this is like 2 minutes and 42 seconds poem, which is great. I mean, he's a great writer. You can't say that. I think this whole album is a great written album. I just think the production of it all kind of sounds the same, but I'm definitely going to keep listening to it. And yeah. Next up, the song of the week for me is definitely Morgan Wallen, Lies, Lies, Lies. It's been a long time coming. Hopefully this is the start of many songs that he'd be releasing, and a new album that hopefully he will come out soon, because there's so many. You can't listen to. I mean, you can, but I mean, I've listened to one thing at a time way too many times. What most people would think way too many times, but it's still so good. But it'd be nice to have some new music here, Morgan. But this song is great. I think it's definitely the song of the week. That's really, really it. I mean, Dylan Scott came out with a song called What He'd Never Have. I mean, I'm not a huge Dylan Scott fan, but it's okay. Lauren Watkins, Mama, I Made It. Justin Moore with This Is My Dirt. Tiger Lily Gold, I Tried a Ring On. I mean, that's a little bit older of a song, but I just downloaded it. But really, that's about it for the week. But let's get into the Country Music Mediabase chart. Starting with number 5 this week, Jason Aldean, Let the Boys Be Country. Number 4, Brian Martin with We Ride. Number 3, Carly Pearce and Chris Stapleton with We Don't Fight Anymore. And then number 2, Morgan Wallen, Cowgirls with Ernest. And the number 1 song again this week is Post Malone and Morgan Wallen with I Had Some Help. Again, Morgan Wallen's killing it. He has 2 songs in the top 5, which is incredible. And I think Lies, Lies, Lies will be another very fast-paced song to number 1 on the Mediabase chart and Billboard chart. But that's all we have this week. So stay tuned to Pro Series with Patrick and Amanda Miller from Northern Woodworking. That'll be come out midweek. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll talk next week.